to mark a new beginning. We are the ones of the spoken word. We are the ones who keep the planet spinning. Yeah, yes, one day we will rule the world. We're gonna rule this world. We're gonna heal this broken heart. We're gonna rule this world. We're gonna make a brand new start. We're gonna rule this world. We're gonna rule this We are the grass and the flowers, the sun and the wind, unto entwined lovers. We are the ones who keep the planet spinning. Yeah, yes, one day.
Hey guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, the home of the Andy Campbell football show, Euro 2020. This is episode number 10. The Euros are well and truly in motion, and what a couple of days. The big boys have gone. It's all there for England's taking, I believe. But we're going to have a big old conversation about all those games and a lots more. But we're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter as usual. And of course, Ace Podcast Nation, your home to many shows, series featuring top guests, expert analysts, and more. So do give us a follow on social media. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. Click the bell for notifications. And of course, if you like them in audio form, you can download them at your favorite radio and podcast platform. Just search Ace Podcast Nation. Well over 450 shows to choose from. Big thank you as ever to Black Diamond Sports. They are a global sports agency who represents sports stars from around the world. More information, you can visit their social media pages as well as their website, the links to which are in the closing description and closing credits and the description below. And of course, a big thank you to the sponsors of the show, which is Bespoke Financial and of course Darren Ralston, who is as ever giving away a free wheel worth 140 quid with any new policy which is taken out. Just check out the offer, give them a call, see what services they've got for you, and of course tell them that we sent you and get involved in what's an incredible offer. They provide award-winning service. They are top of their field. We are very proud to partner with such a brand, and of course we thank them for sponsoring the show. But with no further ado, we'll first introduce my co-host. He is the goal collector, former England under-21 striker, ex-Cardiff and Middlesbrough hero, and of course, very excited, Mr. Andrew Campbell. How goes it, my friend?
Not exactly as it was yesterday, I'll be honest. But no, listen, yesterday was one of those moments that it tried to rewrite the history books a little bit. I felt a little bit sorry for Gareth Southgate for all the stick he was getting beforehand, but now hopefully he's rewrote the history books a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think everyone was a bit, like I said to you over text, I was disappointed with the starting lineup, not because I felt it was the wrong lineup, but I felt like Germany were there for the taking, and I felt like if England had gone all out, they would have blown them away, because I just felt like their aging German defence didn't have enough to cope with what England had. But we'll discuss that in just a sec. And of course, joining us again, I'm delighted to say, it's ex-Salford City winger, Mr. Rhodri Giggs. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. You know?
looking forward to an England fest, mate.
Yeah.
It's going to be non-stop, 45 minutes of England talk. So I'm going to start off with a negative because I'm Welsh. Andy Campbell, Harry Kane is a problem, isn't he?
Listen, I'm honest. I'm open. I'm a passionate Englishman. He's not doing it. He got his goal. I'm pleased he got his goal. I did say on Monday, we were on Wednesday. I did say on Monday that he would score in this tournament. I believed the tournament is. He was always going to score at least one goal, but he's either not looking fit or there's something going on with the move. There's something not right, and I hope it does all come out in the wash because if England don't get through to where they should get from this position, there's answers what have got to be answered, and that's one of them because I think there's other players who I looked at Rashford constantly warming up. Calvert-Lewin had a great season at Everton. I'm not saying these are players, but if they're fit, they need to play. And if someone's not fit and there's something going on, then something's going on. You know, I'm not being negative about the England thing. I just think, you know what I mean. For me, you said about Gareth Southgate. You know what I mean, and I'll talk about him later on, but about his tactics and about the way that he does things and handles himself. But for me, there's more to come from this Harry Kane saga, and I'll call it a saga because there's something that we don't know yet, and there's something going on, 100%.
But I think in some ways England are kind of lucky in that the teams that they've got left to face on their side of the group before the final, they might get away with playing Harry Kane and him performing the way he has done, as opposed to if they'd maybe played some of the big boys and he performed like that, it would have been more of an issue. But I guess that remains to be seen. Just for me, I just think he's had one decent game, and I wouldn't even say he was amazing in that. He was good. I just think he's causing more issues than he is contributing at the moment. And if I'm Man United, Man City, whoever, looking at that, there's no way I would pay 120 million for him at the moment. But Rhodri, what did you make of kind of Harry Kane's performance overall and what he's doing, you know, what he's offering the team at the moment?
Yeah, I just it's a difficult one really, but you know, how many games have they lost? How many goals have they conceded? So, you know, that you wouldn't want to change him on your side. Plus, he's your captain of your side. And we've seen it with Sterling. He didn't have a great end of the season, but look how loyal he was with him. So he's obviously kept the same loyalty with his captain, which is rightly so because, you know, he's leading goal scorer in the Premier League and he's Harry Kane. So I still think, you know, he could go on and score another 4 or 5 goals in the next 3 games left. So, you know, like I say, you know, there's 4 games been played. Yes, he's only scored 1 goal, but you know, there's 3 games left. Like I say, he could score another 4 or 5 goals. But I do agree with Andy. I do think he doesn't look kind of right, but you know, they've been getting away with it so far. Yeah,
and most importantly, they haven't conceded a goal, and I think that it goes such a long way in tournament football. And you know, it might be that goal, whilst it doesn't kind of, you know, forget his performance overall, what it can do is give him the confidence to go and score those goals that you just talked about. And you know, you'd fancy Harry Kane to score against Harry Kane to score against Ukraine, against Denmark or Czech Republic. So, you know, he could very easily kick on. But from a positive side, I thought Gareth Southgate got his tactics spot on, completely negated Germany. And I thought England were just too strong for Germany all across the pitch. Luke Shaw, I said it about 6 weeks ago, I think, towards the end of the Premier League season, best left back in Europe in the last 18 months. And I've seen nothing, Andy, to change my mind, mate.
Well, listen, Gareth got everything spot on at 4:00. He was the worst manager, and we were all professional football managers. We knew more than England managers us. And at 7:00, he's a tactical magician, and it's just the joys of being a football manager, the joys of being a football supporter, because everyone questioned why he went to a back 3 because he hadn't done it so far in the tournament. He did it because he knew how to do it. He had the players and the purse to do it. Luke Shaw and Trippier. Trippier's obviously in there for his set pieces, which I didn't think were great. I thought Luke Shaw was outstanding. I thought the back 3 were phenomenal. I thought Kyle Walker just gives you so much rescue with his pace. I thought Pickford has just been a revelation in the tournament. The protection what those guys give you is great for the attacking players that we had. Yeah, I thought Saka was okay. I thought he did enough. Will he keep his place? I don't know. Will people see a way to stop him doing what he's doing? Listen, Gareth got everything spot on for me. I think we look hard to beat. Yes, we got lucky with Muller's chance and maybe Werner's opportunity in the start, but sometimes you earn that luck and you earn that fortune because Raheem Sterling, who's had a great tournament, have been so unkind on him to score the first goal and then give a goal away. So pleased on that point. But listen, Gareth, I'd like to think in the next game, I'd like Ukraine to worry about us a little bit more. Maybe they change their fashion to suit what we're doing instead of the other way around. Yeah,
and on that, Rhodri, England have got so much talent in that squad, which are really fresh. The likes of Rashford and Sancho and Calvert-Lewin, and even I'd say Foden, I think, has only played 2 games. So they're all that attacking talent is fresh and raring to go against the likes of, with no disrespect, I thought Ukraine were very good last night, but you'd expect, if it was outside the tournament, you'd expect England to comfortably beat them. And with all that talent, I would think it's difficult for the Ukraine to prepare for England because if Southgate does change it up, he's got a lot to choose from, haven't he?
Yes, he has. We're all looking at the lineup, thinking who's going to play: Grealish, Foden, and it's Trippier. So Trippier comes in, he does a good job. His deliveries are decent. So who knows who can he bring? He's obviously looking at the opposition and thinking what's best for my team. Yes, he's not played the 3 at the back in the tournament, but he's obviously prepared for before. He's obviously played it beforehand, so they're not just coming in blind and not knowing what they're doing. So they all been in that position before. Plus, some of them have played it in the clubs. Maguire's played in the 3, Walker's played in the 3, and Stones have played in the 3. So they've all done it before as well. Plus, they're prepared, like I said before, for England before. So who knows who would pick? You could bring Sancho in, but you would think, I was begging to him to take one of them 2 holding midfielders off, but they keep them solid. They've not conceded a goal, so who am I to tell him to bring them off? He kept him on, and then he's brought Grealish on, and Grealish has done the damage on the first goal and the second goal, so he was part in both goals. So who knows who they're going to pick, but they've got a wealth of talent to pick from.
So I want to ask this question to.
I said the same thing. I said the same thing to Sai yesterday. Sorry, Sai.
No, sorry, Mr. Come.
I said the same thing to you, didn't I, last night? I wouldn't pay to watch this. I wouldn't pay to watch England, week in, week out. With the way that the play is very defensive, it's hard to beat, it's hard to play against, but it's effective and it gets the results. So it works. It's a little bit similar to the way that Mourinho sets things up and the way that Mourinho does it. He hasn't got that probably attacking flair on the pitch, but he's got it in the options. I was crying out and I said to Sai during the game, this goes to extra time. Rashford will play. Sancho will play, and England will be in a good position. So I think they have that in their armour if they need to get out of trouble. But sometimes you just want to say, especially as an attacking minded, you want to stay in the off sometimes. But I'm the same as you, Rod. That how can I judge an England manager when he's just beating Germany? We haven't beaten them for 50 years. How can I have a go at Gareth Southgate when he's got 4 clean sheets out of 4 games in a world tournament? It's just an unbelievable achievement so far.
We've got to not forget that he's experienced. He's played in tournaments. He's managed in tournaments. So he's got that experience as well. It's not about how well you play. It's just about getting into the next round. It's all about getting to the next game until you get to the final, and hopefully, you win that one. So it's just cup competition. Andy, it's all about getting to the next game. It's not how well you play. It's just getting to the next game.
No.
And let's be honest. Totally like the last tournament England played in, they got to the semi-final. So Southgate's record in the last 2 tournaments is phenomenal at the moment. But I want to ask you both a question, and you can give me a one-word answer or you can give me a detailed answer. I'll leave that up to you. But obviously expectations have to be changed as the tournament develops. If England don't reach a final, now, if they don't reach the final of this competition, not saying they will it, but if they don't reach the final, knowing that the teams they've got to play, is that now a failure? Andy, you first, mate.
If they don't beat Ukraine in Rome and they don't beat either Denmark or Czech Republic at Wembley, then for me, you don't deserve to be in the position now. You know what I mean? Gareth Southgate said after the game that he was the party pooper in there, stopping celebrations, because if they don't win on Saturday, they've achieved nothing. And you know what? Absolutely bang on. Because for me, yes, they've beaten a nation which we haven't beaten for a while, but it means nothing. They're in the quarterfinals, which is a good achievement and something that 5 days ago, everyone would have gone to 50-50 chance if they got there. But now they're there and the route, and it's planned out for them. For me, they've got to get to the final. And whatever happens in the final and who they play is another scenario. But for me, if you can't beat Ukraine in a neutral stadium on a big pitch in a nice place, and you can't beat one of the two sides at Wembley in front of 40,000 or 50,000, 60,000, I think it might be increased, and mostly English fans, then we've got a problem.
Yeah. What about you, Rhodri? What do you think about that, mate?
Yeah, yes, it'd totally be a failure if Ukraine have played 3 games in close space of time, plus they've just played 120 minutes, an extra 30 minutes, which in the legs. So no, England should absolutely steamroll them, and then you've got basically a home game in a semi-final against a team, whether it's Denmark or Switzerland. This is why I think he's going to keep it cagey. He's going to keep it tight, because these teams won't be able to break them down, and they'll eventually do what they've done with the other teams, and he's get them on late on with the strength they've got on the bench, and just keep it tight. They don't need to go gun-ho against these teams. Then just get to the final, and then that's the big one. Then they're playing possibly the best team in the world.
Indeed, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I want to talk about some of the other teams, particularly I want to talk about Ukraine and what problems they can cause England, because of course we all expect England to beat the Ukraine because they've got the deeper, bigger, better squad, of course, but it's not just a given. We know that. We've seen that in this tournament already. Some big teams have gone to teams that you'd expect them to beat 9 times out of 10. But Andy, what sort of problems can the Ukraine cause England, and what do they need to be on the lookout for, from what you've seen?
Well, just on last night's game alone, I think they can become dangerous because they've got nothing to lose. They can go into the game on Saturday with no fear. They're expected to lose. Everyone probably in the world's expected to lose, which then brings them, for me, into a dangerous category. You know what I mean? Zinchenko has got a point to prove for the Man City boys. Yarmolenko's got a point to prove for his links at West Ham. And Shevchenko's got a point to prove as a manager and as a coach, alongside Gareth Southgate, because he's going to go down in history regardless what happens on Saturday. And if they beat England on Saturday, he'll be an absolute legend, or bigger legend than what he's already in the worldwide football. Roz just mentioned there about they played 120 minutes. They had a horrific injury, and I'm sure he won't be fit with the way that he ended up getting carried off. They had a few lads struggling with cramp. They played obviously later on. They've got to travel the same as England, from Scotland to Italy. So everything couldn't have gone any better for England. You know what I mean? It's everything in their favour. But they're dangerous because they're still in the tournament, and it's a 90-minute game, 11v11. So you've got to give them respect for still being. But if England do lose, it'd be for me, it's Iceland all over again.
No, they've got to be disciplined. The only thing the England can get beat is if someone gets a red card or someone does a silly challenge. That's the only way they can get beat, for me.
Well, funny enough, I said to you last night, Andy, that you could see the Ukraine team towards the end of the game, the Sweden game. They were very much trying to frustrate Sweden. They were diving, going down, staying down for little things. And they'll do that to the England team throughout to try and frustrate them and get a reaction. And what England have to do, particularly some of the younger defenders, the likes of John Stones and people like that, I know they're very experienced, but they have to do what Joe Rodon didn't do. And I've mentioned this the other day. Joe Rodon twice in this tournament reacted to the opposition players saying or doing something and grabbed an opponent by the sort of throat or the neck. And he was very lucky that both times it didn't get a penalty and a red card, but for whatever reason, it wasn't picked up.
To be fair to Joe Rodon, he's not got the experience as
he's so inexperienced, isn't he?
Final, Luke Shaw's played in big games. They've all mostly played in big games. I
Yeah.
can't see any of them being that undisciplined. But look at De Ligt, just a small panic and an handball, and it's a red card, just something like that. If they stay disciplined, I just can't
things
see
change.
them get big.
Yeah, I think probably the only concern would be another yellow card for somebody. So have they got the experience not to get another yellow card? So will they be going into the same game, the lads on a yellow, with the concern that I don't want to miss the semi-final? You know what I mean? You're going into a game, the biggest game of their career.
I'm pretty
worrying
sure
about a yellow card.
that they all get wiped off on the quarterfinals. Don't quote me on
Did they?
that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I think as well.
Yeah.
I
In
the
think I said that
quarterfinals,
the
they
other
all
week.
get
Yeah.
wiped.
That's a bonus. Well, to be fair, that anyway, because I don't think they should have carried over from the group stage. Normally, the group stage is wiped out then, but I did think it's got to be sometime, but I didn't know when it was.
People have missed the finals because of stupid yellows, and so I think now they've obviously. I'm pretty sure it's this first tournament they're doing it, but quarterfinals it's wiped off.
Oh, good.
Spot on.
Bonus.
We'll come back to England, and I want to get Rhodri's take on Wales as well a bit later on. But let's talk about some of those other games over the last couple of days. We'll start with the Ukraine game. We'll work backwards. I was a little bit disappointed with Sweden because I had been quite impressed with how they'd set up and how they played throughout the tournament. Ultimately, though, I thought, particularly after the sending off, I thought Ukraine just looked a bit stronger, a bit quicker and a bit fitter, and they put some lovely balls in the box from out wide. But I was a little bit disappointed with Sweden. But what did you make of that game, like overall, Andy, and just generally? You there, mate? Right. What did you think of it, mate? Of the Sweden-Ukraine game?
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was a good game. I think it was two teams who had no fear.
Sorry, mate. There was a delay.
I think with the players on shore, there's a lot of ex-Premier League or is there still a delay now? Do you want me to log out and log back in?
No, you're all right. Go on, you just go.
Am I better now?
Yeah, go on.
I think with the ex-Premier League players and current Premier League players involved in the stadium and in the ground at the time, I think for me it made a decent game. I think I was impressed with both teams. I think Sweden have got some very young players, very exciting players. I do look at them when they go forward. Defensively, I'm not really impressed with a couple. And Seb Larsson, for me, yes, you need experience, but you know what I mean? And Freddie Ljungberg said it before that maybe it's time to move on sometimes and not go to the next tournament. I know we spoke about the Wales situation, about letting go and cutting ties. And sometimes when you've got young talent coming through, like Sweden look like they have, sometimes you just got to cut ties and give young players an opportunity. But some of the young players going forward for Sweden, I thought were phenomenal.
Yeah, they were very good. What did you make of it, Rod?
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. To be fair, it was it's tough on Sweden with 10 men, and then for them to score so late on, and it's kind of heartbreaking for them to go that long, and then to finally concede at the end. But no, I enjoyed it. It was a good watch, and I just felt sorry for Sweden because they deserved to go to penalties, but yeah, it was a bad tackle, so it was definitely a red card. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was a nasty tackle. And then Monday, obviously, as we went on air and did our show with Gilo, Spain had beaten Croatia 5-3, which was just an unbelievable game. But of course, little did we know that there was more to come on Monday night. Plenty of drama. Switzerland went 1-0 ahead. France came back and scored 3 goals in a very short space of time, including a great goal from Pogba. It looked like that was game over, and then all of a sudden, Switzerland just did not give up, and 3-3 all. Extra time, penalties, the world champions are out, and all of a sudden, the whole championship looks very, very different. And I just don't know what to make of it. I felt a bit sorry for Pogba, particularly. I felt because they thought he was very, very good again. But France just had too many players who were not at it. They looked like a team who turned up thinking that they had already won. Am I wrong in saying that, Andy?
Listen, I think the first half I've missing a display like it. They were so off the pace. They were all. They wanted to
What did you make of the France, particularly the first half? Like Andy just mentioned there, the first half performance was dreadful.
I think when they've got to 3-1, I think they were a bit blasé, and they should have seen it out. They've got undisciplined. They've given the ball away in key areas. And Switzerland, to be fair to him, not Switzerland, was it Switzerland?
Yeah, it was Switzerland. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fair Switzerland. They punished him. Granit Xhaka was brilliant on the day. His passing all game was brilliant. It is on par with Pogba's. But yeah, Mbappe just didn't turn up. The amount of chances he should have really put away with his quality and what his reputation should bring. Yeah, it was a poor result for France, and definitely a result that they should have went on and won, especially when they're 3-1 up.
Yeah, I said to you, Andy, didn't I? When France went 3-1 up, like I could just see them. All they had to do was sit in, be disciplined. Let Switzerland, because Switzerland had to throw everything at them. All they had to do was sit in and hit them on the break, and they could have picked them off and could have ended up at 4-5-1. But they didn't. They were so undisciplined, and Pogba did have a phenomenal game, but he also gave the ball away for one of the goals, probably playing a pass in a position which he shouldn't have. And that's part of what you get with him, unfortunately, for France. But for me, there was so many players in that French team which just didn't turn up. And I just felt Mbappe was off the pace for the whole tournament. He just didn't seem right at all. And I don't think he looked unfit. He just looked, I don't know how to explain it. Like, he just looked on a different wavelength to the other players from the French team. And he never got going. What did you make of his tournament, Andy?
I think it's harder, isn't it? Because with his expectations and with the way that he plays, that he's marked very tightly, very closely. He's probably doubled up quite a few times. He's played wide over to them. You've got Griezmann as well. The expected French team, and rightly so, by the way, because of what they've achieved previously, is massive. And I did feel sorry for him because I don't think he got the service that he probably should get. The balls that he probably desires. Through balls, and I mean cultured between. Ron will tell you as a winger, between the centre half and the full back, so he can run to those kind of balls which he got. He thrived on them, and he drove in the box a couple of times during the tournament, but he didn't get them enough. And there's a lot of fight balls against Switzerland in the air, which isn't his game. And the biggest thing for me was obviously fine margins penalty. To me, he should have been game over at 2-0. Obviously, Lloris kept him in it. And then for them to lose from that period was quite scary, really. Because they'd already got away with one. So they got away with one with the penalty miss. And then to give Switzerland an opportunity to get back in the game for the second time is just criminal. And then extra time was pretty quiet. Not really much going on. Obviously, profile player to look at the end. Anyone can miss a penalty because it's everyone says it's the easiest thing to do, score. But when you've got pressure as well at the end of it, and the pressure on him is tenfold, I felt sorry for him a little bit on the penalty because it was always probably written in the stars that one of the world class players was going to get knocked out. But Switzerland had nothing to lose. They were in a position where the loss of penalties they were expected to lose. But it just opens the tournament up massively for everybody now. I think
with the Mbappe thing. Touch on the Mbappe thing a minute, in the last 4 or 5 years I played striker, I played up front, so you do go through periods of, Andy would say as well, you do go through periods of non-confident, and it looks like Mbappe's a human being. He's not scored goals, and he's just trying too hard, and he's lacking confidence. That's all it looks like to me, because he was making the good runs. Pogba was finding him sometimes in a couple of balls. If he was on fire, that you'd expect him to finish. There's one that he's come across his body. I don't know why he's let it come across his body. He should have just side-footed it in. But, that's for me, he's just lacking confidence. No matter how good he is, he's still a young kid. And he's just lacking confidence for me.
Yeah, I think people forget how young he is. Like, he is, I think, what is he, 21 or something? Something ridiculous, 21, 22.
He's on the scene, he's fired on the scene. He's just having a bad couple of months, and it's for the world to see. He's just got to come through it, and we'll see how he comes through it.
Andy, someone asked earlier, what's the longest you ever went? Go on.
I think with Mbappe, just to finish off on him, I think he's playing in a league in a country which is non-competitive week in, week out. So when he's gone into a major tournament and he's playing against the world's best, because let's be honest, Switzerland had some Premier League footballers. They had some Premier League some playing that team who were playing at a better level than he's playing at week in, week out in his division. So surely that's going to have its toll sometimes, that you're going into games thinking it's going to be easy, playing at the level he's playing at all the time. You know what I mean? The only hard games he gets are 6 games a season in the league and big games. So he's not tested enough week in, week out. And I'd love him to go and play in a different league, a different division, so he can bring that joy to the Premier League or Serie A or Liga, and just so that he can push on to another level, because he's good enough. He just needs to do it. But then the financial goes on top of it.
Yeah, problem is if he goes to Spain, it's the same there. There's like 3. I know it is more competitive in Spain in terms of the mid-table teams are, a bit better than the French teams, I'd say. But generally, it's between 3 clubs about who's going to win the league title. So it does make it difficult, but it is. I guess it is what it is. I'd like to see him move away from the French league. I agree with that, though. Andy, someone did ask, "What's the longest you ever went without scoring a goal?" And how do you deal with that?
Well, without being injured, probably about 8 games. Listen, it's not a nice thing. You go to games. You go into games hoping that something falls off your backside and just goes in, or you'll take anything, and that's what you have, that kind of mentality, and you think you're working hard and you're probably not working as hard as you think, and it starts to get on your mind, it starts to worry, and you're going into games with a negative frame of mind. And Rhodri just said there about lacking confidence, and confidence is a huge thing with an attacking player. You know what I mean? You see some centre forwards during this tournament. Look at Benzema. Everything Benzema hit in this tournament, it went in. And Mbappe's got the world on his shoulders. He's got a future ahead of him. He's a world-class footballer. But, you know what I mean? When you're lacking confidence and you're going into
Is he coming back, do you reckon?
Yeah.
He's
game,
going to pop back in now. Nightmare. Yeah, Roger. With France, there was a couple of players who had half decent games. I thought Lloris played quite well. I thought Pogba had a good game. But you got the likes of Raphael Varane, who's been linked with United all summer. I thought he had a pretty poor tournament. He had one good game, but I thought against the Swiss he was pretty dreadful. And again, if I was United, I'd be looking at that and thinking, Jesus, do I want to pay him a ridiculous amount of money? And I don't know. But then you could also put it down. Everyone has a bad couple of games. He's proven over the years that he's a quality defender, but he wasn't great, was he?
He wasn't great against Switzerland, no. But,
no.
Like you said, everyone's allowed a bad game. We've seen how well Harry Maguire has come in and gone seamlessly. Would he benefit from someone like that being next to him? I'm pretty sure he would, because Harry Maguire is no experienced, sound centre-half. We've seen that with England, and he's been out for 2 months, and he's just come in and fitted in seamlessly and played pretty well last night. So, yeah, it's it's a difficult one, but he's been at big games. He's won Champions League medals. He's been at Real Madrid, so his CV's there. But it's just it always worries me when players that have not been Premier League tested, because Premier League, it's just a totally different animal. Week in, week out. It's all right going to Spain and stuff, but when you go to Burnley in December, it's minging, it's freezing. Will he be able to handle stuff like that? It used to be Stoke, and now it's Burnley. It's, freezing cold there. And
but that's Rod. That's what impressed me so much about someone like Lindelof, for example. I watched him yesterday, and I thought he was solid. I thought he was, you know what I mean. I think that's why Harry Maguire's come on another level, because now he comes out with the ball like John Stones always does, and the Varanes used to do, the Rios used to do. That he knows he's got that protection by somebody who likes to tackle, likes to head, likes to kick, and likes to be a proper defender. And I think that's why they have a really solid partnership, because it's about having your different attributes. And Varane, he'd put him to another level. United, they'd be great as a 3. I think it'd be absolutely fantastic. I think it'd be great.
We were talking before we come on, it's good to have healthy competition.
Yeah,
World
totally
Basic, bring in a class centre half, bring put Lindelof to another level and make him perform better. That's what you need. And we're talking about Trippier maybe coming to United. If he comes, will he bring Wan-Bissaka on like Tellers did to Shaw last year? You need this, quality in your squad to push you even further and make you even better. And that's what United need.
I'll just touch on an England point side with that point. You know what I mean? That's why for me, Gareth took all these fullbacks because Trippier and James push each other. You've got Luke Shaw and Chilwell pushing each other. They're pushing themselves to another level within the group and within the camp. And the competition for places within England training must be so competitive, must be so good. Balls will be zipping around, goals will be going in. You know what I mean? Everyone will be disappointed. Tackles will be flying in because it's so important to have that competition, like Roger says. You know what I mean? That people want to fight for places, and the only way to do that is by having those kind of players in the squad. You know what I mean? 25-man squads in the Premier League. They've got to be good enough 25-man squads and players. There's no point having 16 good players and then filling the rest with kids. It just doesn't work. You know, the best teams are the ones with the biggest squads.
And I think with this squad, what I've not seen with England squads in the past, this team looked really, really together and really a team.
I was going to say, yeah. And the other thing, in the preview show that we did, I said that I believed England had the best squad in the tournament. Not necessarily the best players, but the deepest squad, because they've got pretty much like 3 different teams that they can field in a variety of formations without losing a great deal of quality. And if you look at the team he started with yesterday, that's probably, if you asked 100 England fans, name your best 11, that's probably not many of them would have said that 11. So there's so much variety and so much that they can do. The last point I wanted to make on France very quickly, because then I want to finish off on sort of England and Wales and stuff. I thought Griezmann had a pretty good tournament quietly. Didn't set the world alight with world class, blockbuster goals and this, but I thought he was very good. I thought he worked hard. But I wanted to ask you guys about Deschamps' decision to take him off, because obviously, when he took him off, he didn't know Benzema was going to go off with an injury in extra time. But of course, they went to extra time and penalties with Griezmann off, and then had to take Benzema off. That was a problem because, as we've talked about, Mbappe hasn't got much confidence at the moment. Did he make a mistake by taking Griezmann off when he did? What do you reckon, And?
Oh, listen, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and you look back now, it's a disastrous decision. But for me, you make the decisions at the time what you think's right, and for me, they should have won the game in 90 minutes. You bring players off and on, and you 3-1 up, it's game over. Holland did it against Ukraine. They changed 5 subs at 3-0, and it went back 2-0. Sorry, they went to 2-2, and they got lucky in the end. But if France had won it, it'd look like a masterstroke. But because they didn't win it, he comes in for some criticism, and that's where it's a fine margins between games. And Gareth's in the same boat. And touching on what you said about Griezmann, I haven't seen somebody of his probably stature, of his work as hard as he does, his tracking back, his tackling for an attacking player is absolutely amazing. And I love his attitude, his enthusiasm. I'd like him to be forward more and get in the final third and make things happen a little bit more, because he's world class. But I can't fault him when he tracks back and he's doing a defensive job. And you know what I mean, for the team, he does an amazing job. But yeah, he'll have been disappointed, because Rhodri knows when you've been brought off as a player, you're helpless. You stood there thinking, why has he brought me off? We're getting beat. We're going to lose. I can't take a penalty, and you start to have all these negative thoughts, and it's so frustrating. But managers get paid for these decisions, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. But yeah, it wasn't a great one now, but it could have been just a normal good decision like he's made throughout his career.
Just resting him, I guess. It's a weird one, but like Reece in the chat has just said, when they took Griezmann off, they changed their shape. They brought Sissoko on. They put Rabiot to left back. And Rabiot struggled a little bit when he went into the fullback position.
He made some questionable decisions. He brought Kingsley Coleman on at half time and took him off in extra time. Yeah. So
I didn't get that one. That was the strangest one, Rod, for me. That was the strangest decision.
As a player, you don't want to be sub. So
no,
what's going on there? So you've got to question some of his decisions.
Yeah, and I'm sure we've already seen De Boer leave his job at Holland. I'm sure there'll be a few managers who leave their positions after this tournament for a variety of reasons. And I'm sure, Deschamps will be questioned, should we say.
No, but sorry, pal, that's it, right. French is up there with the England squad. It's a very, very good squad.
Yes.
And for them to go out so early to a team like Switzerland, no disrespect to Switzerland, but France should be beating them quite comfortably.
Yeah, of course they should.
Totally agree.
And they weren't the first team, by the way, in the last couple of days who should have won, but just didn't turn up. Going to be fascinating to see. I want to talk about the draw now. So obviously we've talked a little bit about the England side of the draw. I want to talk about the other side of the draw for a minute. So we've got Switzerland versus Spain and Belgium versus Italy, which also again means one of the big boys is going out on Friday. So it's, like I said, it does feel and seem as if it's all opening up nicely for England, but they will probably, whoever you play in the final, doesn't matter who it is, it's going to be a very difficult game. And England will have pressure in the final because it's the first one since 1966 and whatever else. But it's going to be fascinating. Andy, how do you see Switzerland versus Spain going? Because Spain have quietly just been racking up the performances without anyone really shouting and screaming about them.
Oh, listen, I think the pressure's off Spain. Obviously, it probably could and should have been France against Spain, which would have been a different game. They would have probably had to change things around a little bit, but they've got probably the game that they wanted to. I think going forward, they've created chances. They play a little bit more direct than Spain used to. They don't play the tiki-taka football as much as they used to with obviously the personnel what are missing over the years. They're obviously missing some big name players from Real Madrid for the obvious reasons that the manager just didn't think they were suitable for this squad. And so far, so good for the manager. He's picked some fresh, young, vibrant players, and it's coming to fruition. And he's doing a great job. And the last game alone, where I think they scored 5 and they missed a penalty as well. And you know what I mean? That's the kind of football that you want to watch Spain play. When Spain are on it, and they look really amazing to watch and exciting. But I see him getting past Switzerland. I'll be honest. I think Switzerland, they'll be still a little bit probably starstruck about what happened the game before, and there's no pressure on them. But they're going to go out very, very soon. I can't see them going all the way. I think it's set up for Spain, but the other semi-final on the same group is just another world-class football game with world-class footballers on it. But Spain, if they do get through, which I fully expect them to, are then hitting a very tough game in the semi-final at Wembley.
Yeah, Rhodri, how can Switzerland beat Spain? Like, what do you think their best opportunity to do so is?
Well, first of all, they've got to believe that they can beat Spain, and then just like the same performance that they went out and performed against France, and when they get the chances like they did against France, put them away, because there were some very good finishes and very good goals. So yeah, it's an uphill task. Spain do keep the ball well, excuse me, but just worry about, yes, they've scored 5 goals in the last game, but when you come against tight defence, I do worry about Morata. So they haven't got that cutting edge striker that you need, and that's probably going to be Spain's downfall.
Yeah, Morata reminds me a bit of Andy Cole, not in terms of like any sort of technical ability and stuff, but you can have games where you might miss 5 chances, but then the following game he'll score 5 goals. Like, he's just very interested.
I don't know. Andy Cole was
he used to miss a couple as well, though, mate.
So, he scored goals for fun. Morata, he's not got a record like Andy Cole and all that.
No, I don't mean that. I just mean in the fact that he does miss chances as well as score regularly.
Andy will tell you, if you only keep, it's when you're not getting the chances. So as long as he keeps on getting them chances, eventually he's going to put them away. But it's Switzerland's job to limit them chances, because he obviously needs a few chances to score a goal.
Yeah, he does get himself in some great positions, though. You know what I mean? He hasn't got probably the pace to get away from defenders. He uses his stature really well. He obviously plays the box, which is his job, and he uses the players around him to get the balls where he wants them. But he probably does need to work on his final finish in the final third in the box, because if they're going to go all the way to win something, it's going to be the game where he only gets one chance, and that one chance is going to be vital. A little bit like Harry Kane, you know what I mean? He's not getting many chances, but he has to score that one chance. And will Spain's downfall be that chance that he misses? You know what I mean? Because he's missed a penalty in the tournament, like another couple of players have in their team. Yeah, well,
2 penalties.
You know what I mean? The country is just, I mean, but their record, they're going into games now thinking they're going to miss a penalty, because the record, the commentators are saying it. They've missed the last 3 penalties. They've missed the last 4 penalties. So players are not stepping up. They're changing the penalty taker. For me, you've got to designate a penalty taker, stick by him, because he's going to come good sooner or later. But you keep changing things. And how many players are you going to have left? You know what I mean? At the minute, I wouldn't mind. If Switzerland can get the penalties, they'll have a good chance, by the way.
He can't even go to the goalkeeper because he misses penalties as well.
I know.
Exactly.
But,
It's great.
Switzerland have got a couple of very good players though who have hit form. Like Shaqiri has been quite good in this tournament. He hasn't quite got the some of the goals that you associate with him.
No.
But I think he's worked hard. He's been very good. He seems to work 10 million times harder for Switzerland than he does for any football club I've ever seen him play for. But that such is the way it is.
We spoke about players who haven't played during the season and been off the pace. He's the opposite. He's not played during the season a lot, but he's bang on. So it's it's just finding that balance. And for him personally, he's fresh, he's hungry, he's got a point to prove. Is he trying to get a move away from Liverpool? If he is, he's got an opportunity with his performance levels because he's playing very well, and he's got an opportunity to showcase his talents all around Spain in the next game.
Mate, he is one of those players like Renato Sanchez who, when the tournaments come around, suddenly they just burst into life, get a big move, and then Well, there we go. You talked about records coming into the tournament and things like this. Belgium, I think, is unbeaten in 12 or something like that. They haven't quite hit the ground. They haven't really hit their peak pace. I don't think they have played well. They've in patches. They haven't really blown anyone away yet. Italy is going to be a different animal. What do you think will happen in this game? Rhodri, we've got you first in this one, mate. How do you see Belgium and Italy going?
Oh, it's a difficult one. Belgium, they haven't really been able to field their best team. Game in, game out. It's Hazard's not played the first couple of games, and De Bruyne's not played. And De Bruyne's come in, and Hazard's come in, and De Bruyne's out. So they haven't really been able to get a good, solid team to play together. So Italy, they've been flawless, and they haven't been beat for a long time as well. So, it's one of them 50-50s. Whoever performs and whoever gets that chance on the day, it's going to be a tight one now because these are two elite teams. So, it's whoever performs on the day and whoever gets that chance and puts it away because either one of these teams could go for it.
Yeah, I mentioned last week I watched the Wales-Belgium game from Euro 2016, and Belgium missed so many chances against Wales, just chance after chance after chance. They can't do that against Italy because Italy will be so good defensively that it was Lukaku or De Bruyne or whoever it is, Andy, they've got to take that chance when it comes, haven't they? Because it could be 1-0 to either side because Italy is so good defensively.
Oh, listen, it's Roger just said it there. Mentioned the two players that you're going into a major tournament and the managers took a risk in taking them and not playing them because even if 50% Hazard and a 50% De Bruyne is probably better than what they've got. They need to get them up to pace. They need to get them up to speed. Hazard came off with cramp, so how's his recovery going? Obviously, De Bruyne came off with another injury. It's a difficult one because you can't turn up against Italy without any of those two players in your side. They're both going to play because they both have to play. It'll be a big buzz for Italy, a bonus for Italy if they turn up on the team sheet and none of them are in it or one of them's not in it. Lukaku doesn't get the service without one of them or both of them playing. Yes, they've got Carrasco. Yes, they've got other players. But there's not a Hazard. They're not a De Bruyne. Defensively, it's going to be a phenomenal game because Italy are solid in defence. I think both experienced centre halves are both going to be fit. Spinazzola has been immense. Insigne had a good tournament. Immobile, for me, probably hitting Italy at the wrong time. Is it written in the stars for them to go on and do something? Mancini's been so confident throughout the tournament.
You talk about together, by the way. The Italians look together as any other team in the whole tournament.
Italy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never
in Italy as well. Yeah.
I don't know where.
I think it is. Yeah, I'll double check that now.
No, I don't think it is because we play in Italy, don't we? England play in Italy. So I think they're in different countries, aren't they?
I'll have a gander. When is it? Friday.
I think it's a difficult one because, like Roger just said, both teams can win on their day. Both teams can beat each other very easily. So whoever wins, it's going to make it a really good opportunity. Whoever wins that, I think they'll be disappointed if they don't make the final as well. Yes, they're probably going to play Spain, but the world class footballers. You've got to beat somebody along the way. So
In Germany.
you're going to have to do it. Is it in Germany?
Yeah, we just hope as a viewer that it's not a cagey affair and they both kind of go for it and we get an exciting game and it possibly an early goal, possibly from Belgium, because Italy are pretty solid, and if Italy score first, I think Mancini
just shut up shop them, and
then
game over. Yeah, game over then.
All right. So before we do the other two, Leslie asked me a question which I'm going to answer. He said, "So as a Welshman, if England reach the final, do you want them to win?" So here's the thing. I will not be supporting England. However, if England win the final, I would be very, very happy because I got a lot of English friends. I got English family, and I know how much it would mean to say Andy or whoever. So I wouldn't be like I see a lot of Welsh people and Scottish people, and they're like anyone but England. Like I've kind of gone past that as I've got a bit older, but I won't be like cheering them on. But equally, I'd be happy for my friends if they do win, if that makes sense. What about you, Rhodri? Because, I mean, you're Welsh as well. Do you want England to win or get as far as possible?
Well, I've lived in England for 40 years now, so, I am Welsh. But, no, it'd be good to see. It's always... But everyone's buzzing when things like this happen. Everyone's good, especially over the last 18 months. People have the good factor about them, that happy factor. People are buzzing in the pubs and buzzing about. So it's always good. It's just you never hear the frigging end of it. That's all that.
That's the problem.
It's coming home, please.
I know, but once it's come home, they're gonna have to change it, aren't they? So then it'll be something else. So. But Si, just on that point, you two probably want England to win more than Leslie. So let's be honest. Leslie's supposed to be
English.
Leslie's an English fan, and he wants England to lose. So
he did say I'm Ukraine's biggest fan.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely outrageous.
Right. One team we haven't mentioned, or two teams we haven't mentioned, is Czech Republic versus Denmark. I thought Denmark was really excellent against Wales. Andy, how do you see that game going? Because Czech Republic have really got together in their last couple of games. And obviously, both sides got a big opportunity to get to a semi-final of a major tournament.
This is for them both. I know Denmark won it, obviously previously, but I think this would be a bigger achievement. You know what I mean? Because I think before they weren't in the tournament until right up to it, and then they came in the tournament with Peter Schmeichel, etc. And with what's happened already, you know what I mean? They're everyone's favourite team, regardless of what happened to Christian Eriksen, and rightly so. For me, if you come up against the Czech Republic side who played England, they'll win quite comfortably. I thought they turned up in England very poor defensively. They set up in a negative way. But if they play against the way that they did against Scotland, Czech Republic will have a chance to score goals because they were expansive. They created chances. They need to go for it. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for those players to get to a semi final, and they're not going to come around again because the teams have gone out. The group of death, for example, if that's spread out, then it gives teams less of a chance to qualify. This is once in a lifetime opportunity for those players to get to a semi final, potentially against England in England with the atmosphere which we haven't had for 18 months. Listen, you don't want to give that up.
No, it's going to be fascinating. And Denmark have almost got like that extra momentum or that extra motivation with everything which happened with Christian Eriksen. Like, how much of a factor is that in terms of bringing the squad together and the backroom staff together, Rhodri? Like, obviously, we all saw like how upset and devastated they were. But there's the other side to that is when it came, when he was all right, you get that adrenaline and the relief and everything, and then they've kind of come together and got to potentially a semi-final. Like, how much can that help them going forward?
Oh, massively. The friend, like, literally died on the pitch, and now he's okay, and he seems like one of the lads who they all seem to like, and he's been about. He's a top player. He's could create Tottenham and Inter Milan. So you see the messages and Lukaku and all the players that have played with him. So he seems like a good lad, and people are just feeding off that now, especially Denmark. And the kind of the people's favourites if their country isn't in. And we've seen it before. There's always, I said at the start of the tournament, there's always one country that'll get to the semi-final. Lucky for us, it was Wales last time. And it looks like it's going to be Denmark. But you can't count on the Czech Republic as well. But if Denmark perform, you'd expect them to go through, because it does seem like they're on the up at the minute, and they've turned that corner after scare of the team, mate.
Absolutely. Right. I want to ask you all, or both of you, for a score for each game just before we finish. So, Andy, I'll go through the four of them with you first, and then I'll do the four with Rhodri. You've got Switzerland, Spain.
3-1 to Spain.
Belgium, Italy.
I'm going to go Italy win. 2-0.
Czech Republic, Denmark.
Denmark to win 2-0.
And that's it. There's only three quarterfinals. There's not another one. Ukraine versus England.
You don't need to ask.
Yeah, I'm done. I've had enough now.
England have won. It's come home, so you don't need to ask.
Yeah, there we go. Right, Rhodri. Switzerland, Spain.
Switzerland, Spain. I'm going to go. There's always one that goes to the penalties. So that's the one I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for Switzerland to win on penalties.
Okay.
I agree.
1-1 Switzerland to win on penalties.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going Switzerland penalties on that as well.
Morata to miss the last penalty.
Yeah,
possibly.
That's it. I'm going to go Switzerland penalties as well. Belgium, Italy.
Italy 2-1.
I'm going to go 1-0 Italy. And then Czech Republic, Denmark.
I'm going to go Denmark 3-0.
I'm going to go 3-1 Denmark. And then we've got England, Ukraine.
This could be a blowout. This could be, if England score early on, Ukraine tired legs, and England make it tougher and so on. Yeah, I'm going to go for a 4. I'm going to go for a blowout, 4-1 England.
Take that.
I'm going to go, I think, 2-0 England, but I do agree with you, Rhodri. If England score early, I think it could be 3, 4, 5. Like, I just think they will be too much.
But if it doesn't, it could be a nervy affair, and then it could be a 1-0, or it could be a late one like they've done.
The other thing is, I'd say, and I think I said this to you, Andy, is the reason why I would be quite attacking if I was England, because I believe that if England score early, I think they'll win comfortably. But if it's like 0-0 or 1-1 with like 5 minutes to go, that's when I think that really suits the Ukraine. They can get those balls into the box. England will get a bit nervy. And then I think that's where what they will play for is they'll try and keep it level as long as possible, and then try and sort of play on the nerves of the English squad towards the end of the game. But we'll see. We'll see.
That's where your squad and your quality will come into at the latter stages of the game. When you come
I totally agree, Rod, and that's what happened against Germany. You know what I mean? He played it to perfection. He brought in the players in the right areas which he needed to. Didn't have to change shape. He believed in the shape. He believed what he was doing was right. But personnel had to change because players were getting tired. I agree with both of you. I think it's either one or the other. They get an early goal, which could be in the first half. They're going to have to go and chase in. The longer that game goes, they're going to tire, because we've all been there. We've all played extra time. It gets into your head, into your legs, and once it gets in either of them or both, you've gone. And have they got the quality to come from the bench? I don't believe they have. No.
So Leslie just said to me, he said, you saying 4 or 5, I'll hold you to that, Simon. I didn't say that. I said 2-0 to England. Rhodri said 4 or 5. What I did say is I said if England score early, I could see them winning comfortably by 4 or 5. Come on now. If you're going to hold me to them, hold me to what I said, not what someone else.
Hold Leslie to England are going to lose to Germany.
Yeah, he said England are going to lose. He says they're going to lose every week. Right, just to finish off, Andy, if you don't mind, I wanted to get Rhodri's take on Wales' tournament and just overall where they're at, what they need to do going forward, or what he thinks they need to do, and just generally the state of Welsh football from the eyes of Rhodri Giggs after this tournament.
We've qualified for another tournament again. We're just happy as a Welshman to be in a major tournament again. Did we really expect to get to a semi-final again? Probably not. But we're just probably disappointed we went out with a 4-0 because it wasn't a 4-0 drubbing, but you can only learn from it. Previous managers brought in young players to make them better, and they're only going to get better with the experience of that. Then they've got a World Cup coming. Gareth Bale's going to stay on. Hopefully, Ramsey keeps fit. So yeah, it's just with the manager, I think that's where we've seen the downfall of the previous manager. I think it is experience in big games, in key games. It would have been a bit more experience and may have changed it earlier when they changed it. I don't know. It's just in hindsight and hypothetical. But, you would think the previous manager with his experience of being in bigger games than Robert Page. No disrespect to Robert Page, he's done a fantastic job. But, Denmark performed on the day and didn't travel a lot, and Wales had a lot of travelling, and travelling takes it out. It does. It's as simple
Rodri,
as that. It could be a load of things.
On Pagey, you just mentioned Pagey there because he come in for, and I don't know why, by the way, because I'm a big advocate of. I played with him. I've watched his coaching grow. He's coming for a lot of stick. Is that unjust in your opinion? Because he's obviously stepped up from the 21s.
No, he's done a brilliant job. You can't have a go for the circumstance of come in, getting out of the group, and how we performed against Turkey, how we performed against Switzerland. You can't be 100%. He's done a brilliant job. And he'll do a brilliant job in the future, I'm sure of that.
Yeah, well, I said the same thing, didn't I, Si, on Monday and Friday about things don't work out. He goes back to his role. His role and his remit was to develop players for a manager, and he's done that. He's got some young players through, and he needs to continue in doing that. And the players respecting the players, like him, young players. He's good with young players. Rodri will tell you it's a different animal working with young players is working with experienced players. Some people are like a duck with water with men, with adults. But younger players, 18, 19, 20, 21, those players who are still learning their trade, Page is so good at that. That's his forte. You know what I mean? No one in the right mind would have turned down this opportunity. Nobody. You know what I mean? He's took it. He's enjoyed it. He's been a success, regardless of what people think. He's got them out the group. Nobody expected him. So for me, it's win-win. He's had a great tournament.
People have given him stick, but when he gets back in a couple of years or a couple of months, he'll reflect on it. It'll be the best thing he's ever done in his career, in his football career.
Absolutely.
Managing your country. He's a proud Welshman. We don't like being Welsh, so he's a proud Welshman. To manage your country at Euros, it's just a dream come true for him. He'll just reflect on that and just be joyful on that.
And totally agree. Couldn't have put it better. What an amazing comment, because. You said there, Rodri, about being passionate. That drives me mad sometimes about English fans, because English fans are so negative. They're not as passionate as the Welsh. Maybe that's the expectation. You know what I mean? But I obviously playing for Cardiff and seeing the Robert Earnshaws, the Andy Leggs, the Robert Pages, the players who used to go on national duty, and you see them singing the national anthem, dead positive. Do you know what I mean? Looked and just. And you just see how much it means to them, and you've seen the celebration with Page after the game, after qualifying. You see how hurt he was in his interview after the Denmark game. That really hurt him. That, you know what I mean. But it would have hurt in a 1-0 defeat. Never mind a 4-0 defeat. But you know what I mean. I agree. He'll learn from it. He'll move on. He'll have a wonderful career. And how proud must he be as a family man, as a dad, as a human being, that he's helped his nation qualify out of a group stage, which was a very tricky one, by the way.
Yeah, there's some positive as well. The keeper award was very good. Rondon, he'll only get better with playing with Tottenham as well. So there was some positive. Brooks is going to get better. Wilson's going to get better. Yeah. Kiefer Moore did very well. Bale is world class. We know that, and hopefully he plays on for a couple of years. So they have got youth coming through as well. So. Yeah, it can only get better. They just think that you just would hope that they go on now and qualify for a World Cup instead of the Euros. Next step is the World Cup.
Yeah, like the World Cup's next year, isn't it? So
exactly.
and the group they've got, I believe is the best chance they've had to qualify for a World Cup in a long time, off the back of that Euros and stuff. My only thing with Robert Page, and it was never like a personal thing with him, I thought he did a really good job under the circumstances that he was under. He just showed a little bit of an inexperience, which is going to happen at certain points. But ultimately, Wales didn't go out because of Robert Page. Wales went out because Denmark were the far better side on the day. And Robert Page can be
like I said before, mate, side, you've got to come into it. That Denmark played every game at home.
Yeah.
Wales, travel to Italy from Baku, and back, and then back to Amsterdam. You know, it takes it out. You're traveling. I don't know why, it just does. And when you're playing games at 30-degree heat, you know, every 3 or 4 days, it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah, well, we said this side. We said this time. It did me about a normal Euros. You base yourself in an area, and if you've got to travel, that's fine. But you normally you base yourself towards where the group is. You know what I mean? Wales had to go to Baku. Well, start in
Twice.
Wales, go to Baku, stay in Baku, play the second game, go to Italy, come back, go over to Holland to play. I mean, the amount of air miles, the amount of travelling it takes out on players. I mean, you've got your recovery. You don't recover properly because you're travelling back or you're travelling to another place. It's so hard, you know what I mean? Because you've got to fit training in as well. You've got to fit loads of other things in. And the way that the final game went, the lads looked so leggy, so tired, so lethargic at times that you could see which team hadn't travelled without even questioning what had gone on.
Yeah, 100%, mate. It's very quickly, Rhodri, would you keep Robert Page in charge for the World Cup qualifiers now, or would you bring someone else in?
No, I would keep Robert Page. I wouldn't see why not. You know, he's done a great job when he was there. He's got him out of the group, and like I say, when they analyse it, you know, they'll be the reasons that they come up with it why they didn't perform on that day, because they were leggy, and it's a valid reason. And you know, he's done a very good job. Like I say, he knows all the players inside out, and the players like him. So why on earth would you change it?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's got the respect from the players' side. He's got the respect now that the players will turn up in the major tournament for him to qualify for the World Cup. They'll go to qualifiers. They'll go to Czech Republic. They'll go to everywhere. They'll want to win for the country, for their manager. You know what I mean? You see how passionate they are. You know what I mean? You see the togetherness. You know what I mean? Win, lose or draw. You know what I mean? The huddle after the game. You see how passionate it is. It's not for the cameras. It's not for anybody else. It's not for the fans. They do it because the group's together. The staff's together. The players are together. Everyone's together. And it goes a long way. And when Wales had the success at the last Euros, it was because they were together. You know what I mean? Yes, they've got the quality. It's undoubtable. But they were together. And this time, there was factors which went against them, which we spoke about. You know what I mean? And on top of that, Denmark were just phenomenal on the night. Which, when you put all of them together, you're just going to lose, aren't you? It's hard to turn that around. And
ultimately, the team that's together the most will win it. You know, we've seen it France, the World Cup, how they were all together. And, you know, we've seen it with Italy. Now we've seen it with England. Have we seen it with Belgium? No, we haven't really. So you'll see that whoever wins the competition will have the most team spirit and the team togetherness, I feel. Anyway.
Yeah, totally agree.
Good show. Okay, so at the moment, Rhodri, I think this is the last show that you're joining us for the Euros. However, of course, you are welcome to join us whenever there's a slot. And if you want to join us for the show talking about the final, mate, you're more than welcome. But if not, I appreciate you.
I'm happy to whenever you can fit me in.
Wicked. Yeah, I've really enjoyed having you again, mate. Andy, as ever, it's a pleasure. And I'm really glad to say that for the last sort of 20 minutes or so, your internet has been pretty stable.
It doesn't like Rhodri. Rodri's spells are just killing me internet.
Well, I don't know. It's so weird, mate. It just drops in and out. Like now, it's like you got like HD quality video.
I don't get it.
Half hour ago, you were like a bloody robot.
I know, you can see me wrinkles and all sorts now. I'm going to go back to being there fuzzy.
That's crazy, mate. But guys and girls, thanks for watching. Appreciate it as ever. Please do subscribe to youtube.com/AC Podcast Nation. Have a little bit of news as well towards the end of the week. Got to review a contract of some sort first. But until then, we will see you on Friday for another show. Join us. Cheers.
To mark a new beginning.